systematically, nothing like raising hands and whatever. You feel free, just gently signal that yes, I can pitch in here. On a quick note, because at exactly 10:30 we need to start up with the review, but I'd like to first appreciate the entities that have tried to bring this together. These are all youth initiatives trying to put together resources, time, and effort to really create safe spaces or safe thinking spaces for our fellow youth. First and foremost, let's give ultimate credit to Mtindo Network. It's a youth initiative that's really trying to be allowed, or trying to get back, dig deeper, and really elevate the potential of our fellow youth. Give appreciation to Action for Direct Impact, AFODI. We give appreciation to Students for Liberty Uganda, GEM, Visuals, to scale more the Students for Liberty. We who are here, who yet don't know about Students for Liberty, there is a table just at the entrance there. Maybe in the due course of the discussions, get time, get deeper, and get to understand what it is all about and see how it relates to yourself. So on a quick note, let me invite, that is a team leader from Mtindo Network, then we shall have a team leader from Students for Liberty. Then we start our discussion by a brief self-introduction, because I believe no one knows you better than you can say yourself out. Maybe you have a product you want to communicate to us. Maybe you have a potential. So we shall have a roll through self-introduction as well. Thanks very much. Oscar, you can take it on.
Thank you very much. Very good morning to you all. My name is Dennis Oscar, and I am from Mtindo Network. I work as a team leader. I'm very happy and glad that we've all managed to be part of this. This is a conversation that we came up with under one of our programs called Economic Education. And so we believe that once we get to understand about economic education or about entrepreneurship, it gives us a better picture of where our position is, on what input we should put in, on what input we should, or output we should expect from what to put in. So it's important that we familiarize ourselves with such conversations, with such knowledge, but also with such ideas, because like they say, power is knowledge, or knowledge is power. It's just the other word or relative. So it's important for us to familiarize with things, and it's important for us to come up together with different initiatives that support such ideas and are willing to help champion economic prosperity in societies and communities. Thank you very much. We hope to have a fruitful conversation. And like Arthur did mention, it's going to be a free conversation. It's going to be an open conversation. You share your thoughts. You don't need to share exactly what is in the book. You share your thoughts. You share what you think can work. You share your critics, and let's move on like that, because we're here to learn and we're here to share what we think. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks very much, Oscar from Mtindo Network. So next, let's have a brief welcome from Readers Africa, who are also partners in this course. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. You guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, my name is Akulu Agatherecha, team leader of Readers Africa. And Readers Africa is a youth institute organization that aspires to foster reading, writing, and literacy skills in African communities as a springboard for empowering potential joint agents in the African soil. I think I can see some members here, Elem, Diana, Ruth, yeah. So mainly we are into book reviews, and I think, as Dennis has already said, come with an open mind. Even if you have not read the book, at least be someone who is willing to learn, that even what you have learned, you're going to still use it outside. Don't just come and,
Be clean economics. All right, as we're entering into the book to get into the discussion, just beneath the book, you'll see something impressive. This is how to make your thoughts and actions powerful and harmonious. It's a very important word that is beneath the book, and that's where the detail comes in. And I don't really think there is anyone who wants to have frustrated thoughts. I don't think there's anyone here who wants to have dreams that don't really come accomplished and they go to the graveyard. We all literally want them accomplished. Though we need a system That's a market system that gives glory and grace to this. And that's the free market system. So I think let's have Oscar directed to the first immediate engagement as we see how we get down into the book.
Okay. Thank you very much, Arthur. Let me also begin by sharing what the thoughts that I had on seeing the divine economy model. My first impression, of course, I received it online, and from seeing the cover page and some of the few quotations that the author used to make on social media, I kind of got a picture of, because he first mentioned that he got a dream coming up with writing this book. And so when I got that image, when I got that picture, that he first got a dream, and then he imagined an economic system that operates via rule of law and has property rights and has things that connect us together, human spirit, the entrepreneurship spirit, and helps us in that area, or pushing us to that area of economic prosperity. So what my imagination was, is that this is someone who really thinks about prosperity. This is someone who is really thinking about not only something in a divine form, a divine perspective, but is looking at the economy, is imagining an economy that operates spontaneously, or that has connections, different things that bring it together, different support systems, property rights, they talk of the rule of law, you speak of the entrepreneurship spirit. So in my imagination and in my thought, these are some of the things that came in my mind after, of course, seeing him speak about some of the things on social media and some of his quotations. So right away, with just a simple and small brief about the divine economy model, it's an economics book written by the person sitting there, Bruce Koba. He's from the US. This book is a 4-book series that speaks about economic justice, free markets. It speaks about macroeconomics, it speaks about microeconomics, it speaks about ethical economics, and of course economic justice. And so these are some of the brackets that bring together the divine economy. This is something that he was imagining, that if you have the divine economy in the center of, or if you have an imaginative divine economy in every economic system, the protections, all the corners that would make the system work out are these 4 models. And so how it breaks them down and what it speaks more about them is what we shall try to discuss. Some of the thoughts viable. Did he mention some of the things that could work maybe in Uganda? Did he mention some of the things that maybe could work in your society? This is what we want to discuss. And so we believe that through having such conversations, it could also shape many of us into the civil world. It could shape our advocacy programs on maybe property rights. It could shape our advocacy programs on trying to maybe lobby for things like economic justice and trying to advocate for economic freedom. So the first, like we say, this is an open conversation. We want to just have anyone at random to just give their first thought. When you open up the divine economy model and you read, we'll just follow together, but we just keep jumping up. If you open up the first chapter of the divine economy model, and so imagining the economy as a whole, that is chapter 1. So if you look at this statement, if you look at something that Bruce Koba was, we've had conversation with him, and in his thoughts and things that he was thinking, he says, imagining an economy comes with a lot of efforts. It comes with a lot of combinations. It comes with a lot of support systems from different individuals. It comes with support systems from different people. It comes with support systems from different organizations or institutions. So I just want to have an open thought from from anyone, if you are to put yourself in Bruce Koba's shoes and you are to think of an economic system that maybe would work for Uganda, let's speak about Uganda in this case, what system would you think of? Yeah, if you would put yourself in Bruce Koba's shoes and you think of an economic system that would work for Uganda.
To, avail a smooth running, a smooth exchange, a smooth ground for innovation and creativity. This is what the ground is open up to. In your society, in your community, you can, micro it to your society or your community before maybe looking at the entire economic system of the country or the world. Please, it's open. Anyone imagining the economy as a whole? Yes, Jerome has a hand up. Great.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I would imagine the economic system that is social, both and economical. Of course, it must have a system of regulation, a system of rules that governs it. That system, it should be a system derived from value and incentives. And people participating in it must go in it to drive value and profit out of what they create for others. I mean by providing solutions to the challenges people are facing. So the economic system I would prefer is that open system governed by individuals through incentives and profits. Thank you very much.
Change the mindset and first focus on ourselves individually. I think it makes sense. But also I'll put this aspect of like, what do you think of a country like Ukraine? Let's give an example that yes, I am focusing on myself, like even Turkey. I've built my houses and whatever. At last, such a thing happened, a natural occurrence like in Turkey, and Ukraine here, an invasion from Russia. At last, you were economically prosperous, but now such an intervention from another country has now affected your personal life, and yet you are saying that you are free and you are prosperous
as an entrepreneur. So, just a random question, or anyone could be able to share what you think. Would you obey a law and in a society that would you obey a law that increases your human productivity, or would you obey a law because there's a penalty, for failure to obey that law? Would you, if you're an entrepreneur, would you obey a law for that reason because there's a penalty? Or you do it the other way around? What do you think? What are some of the repercussions that will come if you fail to obey a law and you know there is a penalty there? But the law is oppressive, remember. The law is oppressive, and that is a scenario that we're trying to put on board. What are some of the thoughts, or what are some of the things that would have in mind when the law is put in place and it has a penalty attached to it if you fail to obey it?
I think to speak of the law is to accept limitations, and there's a scope, of where the jurisdiction of the law, So the laws have to be binding, So with the scenario of it being binding is the situation is the acceptance of a penalty, of going beyond that. At first, with the understanding of the law in the 1600s, one of the scholars said that the law was created to prevent the rich and the poor to prevent them from sleeping under the bridge. You understand? So there's need for some transparency of their actions and knowing who is where and how should the person be considered. So something like that. So yes, the law can sometimes be so bad to that extent, but it now depends on the justice system. Is the judiciary an independent one? where the judiciary is also so much taken up with the politics of the country. You understand? So if I know the judiciary is not independent enough, then that means the law is politically driven than justice, fair, or like, it doesn't have the natural justice aspect. So that's what I can say. Thank you.
And those laws sometimes are made interest of the society, and at the worst, they are made in the interest of the people, especially those in government. And when the laws goes to that extreme end, there is a necessity of people to try and defy them. Because human beings do not exist because the laws exist. Laws must exist to protect them. If the laws do the exposition of what people work for, then the violation of property rights, laws will not plunder people. I have the alleged right of one man, which necessitates the violation of rights of another, isn't a right at all. So if someone uses the law to take someone's property, and the law, of course, sometimes those in authority impose some obligation. If at all you violate this law, this is what happens to you. Sometimes it needs to go beyond bold and resist some laws which are actually not profess justice. Because we need to own ourselves, we need to own the result of our effort, the result of our body, the result of our knowledge, without someone forcing us to do. So in a free society, we shall only accept the law that gives justice to everyone. I must give someone value to get from someone. The role of government in a free society is to educate or to offer justice, defense and security. I think the author acknowledged that there is an element of the law to offer justice, security, and respect human rights and the individual properties. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much. I think you keep the mic there. We are switching into the discussion. I think as we're coming to Ken Scholar, I think let's first have a quick recap on that page 29, please. The entire documentation as you see it. I want us to pay details to the arrows, okay? If we pay details to the arrows, you see the divine economy is in the center of it all. So there are arrows and trajectory that besides outside the divine economy, there is that circular, description of the latent and active entrepreneurship, which is the ingredient that connects to the divine economy. The divine economy is spiritual in nature, okay? Since it is confirmed we are spiritual beings existing in a physical body, right? So when you look at that, you see these arrows that when the capital structure is right, it relates to transformation, but it's a two-way arrow. It reconnects to your responsibility as well, okay? And then when you look at unity, the arrow projecting to unity, which is in the knowledge, in the fruit of knowledge, it's a one-way arrow. That shows one, it's a voluntary nature. It's one way, it does not reflect back to you, okay? It's one way you have to unleash, you have to run out to the unit, you have to go cooperate into the market, okay? They want really, you won't sit down and market forces come to your corporation. And the next way there is order. Order is interlinked. The market is in two good play. Order interlinks and gets back to your responsibility, and the order reflects to yourself. That's why it's a two-way arrow, okay? Then if we go to the human spirit, that's your actions, okay? Reconnect back, and that's why it gets back to your divine economy. And get to justice. Justice is a one way. You seek for it. I see, that's why the arrow gets out of the systems, to the laws. It's one way. It goes that way, it has to be served to you. Then we see the law, which is interconnecting. When the property rights are served and respected, everything works out. Now, that's the entire detail of the divine economy model as you're going to read deeper. Now, let me switch to our review guests. And to begin with, Ken Lee. Briefly about the book, give your small niche about the book, and then we cross over to Professor Ken. And with Professor Ken, you'll give your brief niche of the book and then immediately interlink to the other section of the discussion. Okay? You first give a brief niche of the book, right? So to begin with Ken Lee and systematically cross over. Thank you. Questions will come in the due course.
Entirely. We discussed it a bit over the last few days, and I guess the main conclusion that I've come across is that there's not one idea for the economy that can work that's based on just one set of values and principles. It's when we look at the economy, it should be something that applies across the board, regardless of your values. And so that's my main critique of this.
Oh, great. Can you request put on the mic?
It is on.
Okay, yeah, Professor can give your stuff and then immediately interlink to the other wing of the discussion of your sharing. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I found this discussion quite fascinating, and I'm really pleased to see that this divine economy model has inspired so much depth of thinking about the economic role of every individual in society. I'm impressed that Bruce has taken a starting point of the Austrian school, which holds up the highest regard for individuals and individual action in society, rather than starting from a point where rulers must decide things for people. So this is something that I find is the most fundamental point that he's making here, and I find that that's highly respected here by the readers in their comments.
Okay, Professor Bruce, I think let's immediately get to the discussion. You're also an author, a free market advocate, let's say, a professor of economics, right? Give your brief sharing about your book, about your thinking of the market. I don't know whether you're well versed with the Ugandan market. This is your second time in the country, but I don't know.
To me, actually the answer there is no. Because when you talk about rule of law, it has to have that aspect of justice and equity. So now, if it is not applied equally, so there is nowhere we are going. The law, if we have a law, it has to apply equally on everyone, irrespective of their social background, their status, or even the level of their education and so on. So without that equity, there is nowhere we are going. And now to have a rule of law, that's the first step for everything to move smoothly. We can't have order in the market when there is no rule of law. We can't have like people prospering without rule of law. I think rule of law actually opens the panel for the rest of the other things to follow. So it is very vital if we are to have a functional economy, to have what we call rule of law, and which is operational. There is having these rules like on paper, like you see our constitution and so on. But now when you go down to the implementation part, people are not taking it serious. They are not even they are living differently from what they have written down. And now this applies to even those who crafted these laws. They craft it and they don't take time to implement it. They just leave it there. Like, I don't know for what, but they craft the laws and they don't put these laws into practice. So we need, when we have the laws and we say we are maybe under rule of law, it should be applicable, it should be functional, and it should guide our activities. I think when we have that, we'll have a very functional economy and we will be prosperous. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for those thoughts. Wonderful.
Thank you. Basically, we talk about the rule of law. I'm of the view that if we had an economy where these laws are implemented, and also not only implemented, but we see that even those who are maybe in the low class are also put or made part of these laws. That is, I think if at least they would have someone, a representative, who would stand in for them and see a way how do these people fit in the law system, because most times you see these laws are made and then this other class of people are left out. Basically, if you look at our economy in Uganda, we realize that we have basically maybe three types or categories of people. We have maybe the first class, those who have more resources. Then maybe we can have the middle class, and then you have maybe those who really have nothing. So the funny bit of it is that those who don't have nothing totally, and then those who have, they have more. So I was of view that how are we going to balance this, that all these people have something, and then why is that these who have more, okay, what strategy do these people who have more resources, what do they use to have the resources? I mean, how do they get that those who don't have nothing, or why is it that these who don't have, they can't access the resources, or these things that these people have can't reach these people? So much as these laws are there, they're implemented, but they're put at the expense of others. They are not being considered. So how is it going to be done? It's a question to all of us. How are these laws going to favor everyone, irrespective of their status, the social class, the position in the government or in the society? How are we going to favor or consider even those who are not considered in the law or the laws that are set? Thank you.
Go with equity. Because equity has a bit of fairness. Yeah, equity has a bit of fairness in it. If the scenario that you gave, we have to look at the fair bit of it. If a poor man, if a rich man is earning 500, yeah, is that what you say? Being taxed 500 per year, it cannot apply. If we're looking at fairness, it doesn't apply like that to poor man. Because if you're looking at fair, if we're looking at fair level, if we're looking at a fair system, it should be able to. Remember here in economics, in a free market system, we're looking at value for value and we're looking at uplifting everyone's abilities. You get? So if I'm working and if I'm being paid 200, yeah, let's say, maybe I'm a poor man. I don't know the definition of a poor man, or I don't know if there is any law that maybe identifies someone as a poor man. But if I'm being paid at 200, unless I'm a poor man, and there's another rich man, okay, who earns 500. So the distinguishing factor there, maybe on the taxes that would pay, yeah, would be able to, would have fair lining in, yeah. The more you get, I don't know, in the system these days, the more you get is the more you pay, right? The more you get is the more you pay. But now, if we're looking at a poor man, the lesser you get, yeah, and I think it's the lesser you pay. Yeah, that's
Okay, Ellen, that's a very good question. When we get to the taxes, I think there's a discussion that's going to be about toll tax. Yeah. You know, should I really be taxed much because I earn much? So those are some of the questions I think we shall look at. Those are market discussions. When we bring it in terms of equity and equality, when I get to the economic angle, personally, I'm not okay with progressive tax. That's simply because I make a lot of money. They should tax me more. It's like you're punishing me for making more. So that is something we are going to get to the toll tax, which is in the Jonathan Garibo book. But then you try to make your point and we dig deeper and we switch to the other.
Basically, I think that's my first part of things. I think that's where we can first debunk most of the ideologies of this book. It really forgets the fact that there is need for the state to exist. That's where the rule of law comes in. You can't talk to the rule of law when literally not recognizing a system that has to operate to ensure that there is something of this kind.
Yeah.
Talking about the rule of law, it's based on three things. The supremacy of the law is the constitution being respected in all kinds. Yeah. There's what we call the equality of the law. Does it apply equally to everyone? Yeah. And the third thing is that the individual rights being respected. That also is a discussion of another day. But with the first element of ensuring that there's rule of law, there's need to have a strong government. You understand? A government that can command obedience. A government that can surely influence or ensure that those who have more can't so much affect those who have less.